Hello, people. Welcome to episode 3 of Crime Puzzles. Let's get to it. Immu, a shopkeeper, has 7 items P, Q, R, S, T, U, V in his shops. The cost prices of the item are 18, 90, 120, 100, 75, 60, and rupees 125, not necessarily in the same order. The selling prices in binary system. Okay, so they're talking of a base system now. If the given items are such and such. So 111100. I hope you know how to convert a number from binary to decimal. 1111, 4 ones is equivalent to 15, followed by 2 zeros is as good as multiplied by 4. So this should be 60. This is as good as 60. Let us look at this. 1, 2, 4, not 8, so 16, 32, 64, so 128. 16, 4, 16, 4, 2, 0. So this is equivalent to 150. Unnecessary layer of extra interpretation involved, where you have to convert number from binary to decimal. But okay, 1, 2, 4 not here, so 8, 16, 32, 64. So this is 75, and I don't know if you can see this number, but okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If it is 7, then it will be 127 right now, minus 2. So this is 125 as a value. Okay. Then this one, 1010 is 2 plus 8, 10. 10 into 16, 160, 160 plus 15. So this should be 175. I'm trusting in your judgment that you'll be able to convert a number from binary to decimal. If you don't know how to convert a number from binary to decimal, probably pick up on that. That is something you should learn in base systems. Then here I have 4, 8 not, 16 not. So 32 and 64. So this is 100. This now 1 is 3 into this is 48. So the 7 different selling prices available to us are 60, 150, 75, 125, 175, 100 and 48. Not necessarily in the same order. Okay. It is also known that blah 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 blah. So many instructions are given. So as of now, there are there are 3 parameters that we know. Not 4. There are 3 parameters that we know. We know there is a name of an item. We know there is a cost price, and we know there is a selling price. Okay. Let's go ahead. Record data. The cost price of tea, which is sold at a profit of less than 30%, is equal to the average of the cost price of Q and V. Okay, so cost price of T is the average of cost price of Q and V. So first thing I want to do is list down all the cost prices in a sequential order. So your cost price is 60, at 75, at 80, at 90, at 100, at 120, and at 125. These are the different cost prices that are available. Why it helps to write them in a sequence order is, now according to statement 1, whatever cases I want to make, I can happily do that. Let's go Q or V, V or Q, and T. Can 60 be the average of two numbers? No, it is the smallest one. Can 75 be the average of two numbers? 60 and 90, yes. I can see a case where this is 75, this is 60, this is 90. Life is simple. Can 80 be the average of two numbers? Yes, 60 and 100. Can 90 be the average of two numbers? Yes, 60 and 120. Can 100 be the average of two numbers? 75 and 125? Yes. And also 80 and 120. Can 120 be the average of two numbers? Not really. 125 and 115 not available. Can 125 be the average of two numbers? No, it is the largest number available. So the 5 possible cases for the different values of t are listed below, and we are able to arrive at this in a very sequential and orderly fashion because we've written down the cost prices in a proper sequence. Okay, let's go ahead and work further. The profit made on one of the items is twice the amount of profit made on exactly two other items. See, data point one, while we made cases, we haven't really populated our table in any way. Similarly, data point two, we can't really populate our table in any way. But one additional piece of information that we have gotten from data point one and data point two is there is a reference of profit. There is a reference of profit. And basically, this has now introduced the fourth parameter into our recording. We also need to take care of what profit we are getting from these individual items. Okay, let's look at the third statement. The selling price of an item on which the shopkeeper incurs a loss of 16.67% is 40% less than the cost price of P. Okay. If you're incurring a loss of 16.67, if you're incurring a loss of 16.67, you're basically saying SP and CP are in the ratio 5:6, 5:6. So I'm now first identifying all those cases where CP is a multiple of 6. Can it be 60? Can CP be 60? But then within SPs, do I have a, let me also write down all the SPs in sequential order: 48, 60, 75, 100, 125, 150, and 174. Okay, CP, if it is 6, I would need SP to be 50. 60, 50, do I have a pair? Not really. 90, 75, do I have a pair? Yes, there is a pair of 90, 75. 120, 100, do I have a pair? Okay. So now, the selling price of an item in which the shopkeeper incurs a loss of 16.67%, it could either be 90, 75 that is being talked of, or it could be 120 and 100 being talked of. One of these two cases is being talked of. Okay. Now we're also told the selling price of the item on which the shopkeeper incurs a loss of 16.67% is 40% less than the cost price of P. Either 75 is 40% less than cost price of P, or 100 is 40% less than the cost price of P. So either 75 is equal to 60% of CP of P, or 100 is equal to 60% of CP of P. If I calculate it this further, I'll get P is CP of P. CP of P is equal to 125, which is a possibility. Here I would get CP of P is equal to 166.66, which is not an acceptable possibility because in the list of cost prices that we have, there is no 166.66. So at this time, things that we know, item P definitely has a cost price of 125, and there is some other item, which is getting which has a cost price of 90 and is getting sold off at 75, or there is a loss on that item of 15 rupees. We don't know what that item is, but these three data points, I can connect the dots there. Okay. So statement 3, we are able to capture in its entirety. There is no more clues left in statement 3. Statement 4, the profit made on an item that is sold at rupees 150 is 25%. Okay. Basically, what this data point tells me is 150 is 5/4 times of CP. So if 150 is 5/4 times of CP, CP has to be 120, and the profit in this case is 30. This point has also been captured in its entirety. There is nothing left there. Next is the profit in base 8 on an item that is sold at rupees 175 is rupees 62. 175 is rupees 62. There is a difference in the way you read it. The profit is in base 8. So you can't call it 62. You have to call it 62. And 62, base 862, when converted to decimal will be this much, is 50. The item that is sold at rupees 175 has a profit of 50. So the cost price there should be 125. We already know which item has a cost price of 125. So the selling price here is 175 and the profit here is 50. Done. Okay. At this time, can I also go ahead and say T will not be this case? Most definitely not be this case, because cost price of 125 is already assigned to P. So V or Q cannot have 125. So you cannot have a pair of 75, 125 with the average as 100. Every other case remains. Okay, this is also done. Let us look at sticks. The cost price of item R is 50% more than the cost price of U. So can I go CPR is to CPU is in the ratio 3:2. So what all cases would be possible? Let's go. I can have 90 and 60. This is possible. I can have 120 and 80. This is possible. 75 and 50 not available. 90, 60 done. 120, 80 done. These are two possibilities. And because there are two possibilities, I can't really rule anything out right now. We will let this simmer. 6 has not been completely interpreted. 6 has not, there are possibly more interpretations to derive from 6. So we'll do that later. Last point is all the numbers are in decimal system unless otherwise is mentioned. Okay, that is like the most basic assumption. That is always true. Okay, then let's go back. Let's go back. There are 4 statements, 3, 4, and 5. We've completely interpreted. We've taken out all the information that we potentially could have. 1, 2, 6, and 7, or even 7, we have completely interpreted. So 1, 2, 6. This is where the solving of this clue has to be there. The cost price of T, which is sold at a profit of less than 30%, is equal to the average of the cost price of Q and V. Can't do anything about it right now because I don't know a lot of information. Next is the profit made on one of the items is twice the amount of profit made on exactly 2 other items. This seems promising. This seems promising because this is giving me a numeric clue. This is giving me a numeric clue about 3 items that are on. So what I'm going to do right now is 3 cost prices have been written down here. And the relationship between the profit for any of these 3 items is not 1:2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down all other possible CPs. And what is left? 100. These 4 CPs are left. These 4 CPs are left. The rest of the CPs have been used up. Let me also go ahead and write down all other SPs that are left. 48, 60, 100, and 125. These are the SPs that are left. Now, pay attention to this line very carefully. The profit made on one of the items is twice the amount of profit made on exactly 2 other items. So let me see if 60 was paired up with 48, it would be a loss. If 60 was paired up with 60, it would be 0% gain. If 60 was paired up with 100, this is the possible list of CPs that are left and possible list of SPs that are left. If 60 is paired up with 48, if 60 is paired up with 48, you get a loss of 12. If 60 is paired up with 60, you get no profit, no loss. If 60 is paired up with 100, you get a profit of 40. So either this is double, 40 is double of 20, or this 40 is half of 80. Is there any case in which 80 profit is being created? There is no possibility. There is no way you can have an 80 profit. Is there any case in which profit of 20 can be created? 80 and 100. But then if 60, 100 gives me a profit of 40 and 80, 100 gives me a profit of 20, I need one more case of 20. I need one more case where the profit is 20. That is not possible. So we move on. 60, 125, pairing is not good enough. Let us try making pairs with 75 now. 75-48 loss, 75-60 loss, 75-100. In this case, I will get a profit of 25, and double of this, I already see a profit of 50 existing. Double of this, I already see a profit of 50 existing. This is very, very inviting. Can I get a profit of 25 once more? Yes, I can get it at 100 and 125. Again, a profit of 25 all over again. Okay. So this does not mean I stop checking right now. I've got one case where 7500 I can work with, and 100 125 I can work with. One possible case I have identified. I will continue checking if there are any other possible cases. You don't stop the check here. Okay, so 75, I found 75, 125 gives me a gap of 50. Now, can I get two more 25s from somewhere? Not really. There is just two. There, 50% is already here. Can I get a gap of 100 somewhere? Not really. 75, 125 pairing doesn't make sense. 80 with 48? Nope. 80 with 60? Nope. Because these are losses. 80 with 100, you get a profit of 20. I need profit of 40 now or profit of 10 now. There is no case in which I'm getting a profit of 10 or a profit of 40. So 80 with 100 doesn't work. 80 with 125 doesn't work because it gives a profit of 45. Half of that is not possible, and double of that is 90, which is again not possible. 100 cannot be paired up with 48. 100 cannot be paired up with 60. 100 cannot be paired up with 100. 100 can only be paired up with 125. And it gives me, we go back to this case only. And now, after having checked all possible cases, we can be certain, okay, this is the only possible case. That makes sense. Let me go back and record stuff now. In this case, I get a profit of 25. In this case, I get a profit of 25. Okay. Now, although 7500 and 100, 125, they have been appropriately identified. Let us go ahead and write down all other possible combinations. 60 will either be against 48 or 60, and 80 will either be against 48 or 60, one of these two. So the item with the cost price of 60 will either have a loss of 12 or zero loss. An item with cost price of 80 will either have a loss of 32 or a loss of 20. This is identified. Now let's see one beautiful thing. Now this initial table that we had made is going to come to our massive aid. The cost price of T, which is sold at a profit. T is sold at a profit. Okay. Less than 30%. So the item sold at 75 is being sold at a profit of 25 or 33.33%. So this case is ruled out. This is not possible. 80 is not even being sold at a profit. So this case is ruled out. 90 is not even being sold at a profit. So this case is ruled out. The only possible case left for us to check is this one. So T has to necessarily be priced at 100, and Q and V can either go here or Q and V can go here. Also, if 120 is definitely getting paired up with Q and V, can I say for R and U, we've identified the only possible case left for them? R has to necessarily be at 90. U has to necessarily be at 60. And now there is just one spot left. S has to come here. So we now have a rough table of all the information that we need. We now have a rough table of all the information that we need. We can get to solving individual questions. The first question given to us is, what is the cost price of S? Cost price of S for us is 75, so it is option 1. Next is, if the cost price of V is more than that of Q. Cost price of V is more than that of Q. So they're saying V is here and Q is here. Okay. What is the absolute difference between the maximum and minimum possible values of selling prices of Q? Maximum and see, selling prices variation is only present in these cases, and the difference there is 12. So it is 12. Go ahead and mark it. Okay. What is the average of selling prices in base rate of R and T? Let us look at selling prices of R and T. This is 75, this is 125. So the average is 100. 100 in base 10 has to be converted to base 8. Okay. So it will be 1, 4, 4. This will be 144 in base 8. So option 2. I hope you know 100 divided by 8 gives us 12, remainder of 4. Divided by 8 gives us 1, remainder of 4. So in base 8, the number will be 144. Again, this is like you need to know basics of this system to be able to handle this. Without that, it will be impossible. Next thing is, what is the selling price of S? Selling price of S is 100. So answer is option 2. Why switch to an arrow? Answer is option 2. The key thing within this set to identify is, see, hopefully after having looked at this set, it is not an easy set to solve, but you would have gotten around to understanding the way you record your information is extremely critical in being able to interpret it. If you did not, see, if you write it down sequentially, it is easier for you to make cases. Additionally, whatever information you're getting confirmed, you write that down. Then as you go through clues, the clues that have given you all the information that they potentially could, ignore them. At the end, I only had 3 clues left, 1, 2, and 6. These were the only clues that I had to go back and give extra special attention to. As soon as I did that, I made this case, and even while checking cases, you have to be thorough. It takes time, it takes effort, but as long as you're thorough, everything else will work out well. Okay. So one case where recording style is of extreme importance and you put all the information in appropriate places. Let's go to another case, which is a completely different world altogether. Okay. The table below gives the information regarding the number of candidates who appeared in CEE, an exam conducted for selection of probationary officers in 10 banks. The number of candidates who were finally selected for the post by the banks. The exam was conducted in 2013 for the first time. The candidate could not appear in the exam during the given period after getting selected once. It is also known that no 2 banks ever selected the same candidate for the post in a year. Cool. So when you look at this table, for a lot of us, I'm guessing we would go, oh my God, so much calculation. And yes, there is some degree of calculation involved, but it is not going to be as precise as you thought it would be. Or if you know approximation, you understand intent behind giving such questions in exam is not that people engage in exact calculation. It is people who can make good approximations, can make sense of data without necessarily getting into precise calculations. So let's look at it. The first question is, the number of candidates who appeared at least 2 times for the exam during the given period cannot be more than. Okay? Cannot be more than. So we are looking for the maximum possible number of people who appeared for this exam twice. Maximum possible number of people who appeared for this exam twice. Okay. First thing I know, in 2013, how many people appeared for the exam? 5,60,000. I'm not a huge stickler for writing down precise numbers. Okay. And how many people got selected in 2013? 200, 550, 800, 1500. I'll tell you how I'm operating. 200, then 550, then 800, then 1500, then 1700, then 2800, then 3300, then 3800, and then 4500. See, I need not have written this down because I was not taking exact numbers, I was taking mere approximation. So 4500 gone from this, from 4500 gone from this, I will have 5,55,500 people left. Okay, 5,55,500 people left. That's a wonderful number. These many people, can they appear in the next year? Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely, these people can appear. Wonderfully done. So my answer will definitely have a component this huge. Let us look at the next year. I've got 6,40,000 people. I'm looking at 2015 now. After having looked at 2013, I'm looking at 2015 straight away. I don't want to get into calculation for 2014. Okay, 6,40,000. Let's see how many people. I'll also record it again. 200, 400, 600, 1050, 1850, 2600, 2800, 3000, 4150. Okay, 4150. If I remove, in fact, I'm not that heavy a number, so 636,000. These many people, can they appear in the exam in 2016? Yes. These many people can most definitely appear for exam in 2016. So I'm going 555,500. Let's add them up. 0, 0, 5, 1 carried over, 9. Sorry, no carry over now. So what I've now got is, look at it, 119,1500. 119,1500. Now, I've already reached this. Can you see? There were if 55,000 people reappeared in the exam in 2014, if these many people, can I say there were roughly 5K extra people? There were roughly 5K extra people who could have appeared, fresh people who could have appeared in 2014. There were roughly 5K extra people who could have appeared in 2014. And these 5K extra people, could they have appeared in 2015? Could they will not be able to appear in 2015 because I've taken them all as fresh applicants. Could these 5K extra people appear in 2016? Out of 6,90,000, 6,36,000 according to me are repeaters. Not 5K, I'm so sorry, not 5K, 50K. There are roughly 50K people extra who have appeared in 2014 from 2013. There are at least 50,000 extra applicants in 2014. Can these 50,000 extra people appear in 2016 as their second attempt? Most definitely. There is enough sample space available. See, if I add 50,000 to this, if I add 50,000 to this, I will reach some 124 4 zeros. Again, don't care for precise numbers. This is my approximate answer without getting into precise calculations. Among the available ones, the only one that makes sense is option 2. I mark it and move on. And this is the biggest calculative question within the set. And hopefully, if you know the answer key, this is the right answer. You can look at the textual solution. I don't know if you get to have the textual solution, but the entire objective of this set is just to show you can work with simpler numbers and yet you will get to an answer, because no question is ever designed. At least good questions are not designed with the intent of you getting into nitty-gritty of carrying over 1 and then 7, if 7 becomes an 8 by some mistake in carry over, then my entire question is wrong. None of that. You can happily approximate values and still get to an acceptable answer. Next question. If a candidate kept on appearing for the exam till she was selected by one of the banks, then how many candidates appeared in all the years during the given period? Okay. So let's say we had 5,60,000 candidates in 2013. Of them, roughly 4,500 got selected in the first year. Okay. Now in the next year, whatever many candidates got selected, were these repeaters from last year or were these fresh applicants who got selected? We don't have any information regarding that, no? So, how many people will repeat in 2015? That number is dependent on the split of people who got selected in 2014 between the fresh attempters and the people who are repeating the exam. Because no such information is available of the split, the only acceptable answer to the question has to be option 4, cannot be determined. Nothing more, nothing less. Let us go to the next one. How many banks selected at least 0.05% of the appearing candidates each year during the given period? Okay, let's see. 5,60,000. See, 0.05%. How I operate is I will go 1% to 0.5% to 0.05%. Going to 1% is simply, see, the numbers I see here, 5,60,000 for the first year, 5,60,000, so 6 lakhs for the next year, 6,50,000 for the next year, and 7 lakh for the next year. These are the total numbers that I'm operating with. Okay, so 1% would mean this is gone. Half of that is 2,800 and 0.05% is 280. So 5,60,000 leads me to 280. Gone 3,000. This is 300. This is gone. This is 3,250. Okay, so 325. Gone. This is 350. We need banks that have exceeded selections by these 4 numbers in all the years. AB, no. IOB, no. OBC. Fails in the 3rd year. First 2 years was nice, but no. BB fails in the 2nd year or 1st year itself. PNB. First year passes, 2nd year fails. BOI, 1st year fails. PSB passes, 1st year, passes, 2nd year, passes, 3rd year, passes, 4th year. So yes, PSB gets counted. BOM fails in the 3rd year. SB fails in the 3rd year. CB passes in the 1st year. Yes, passes in the 2nd year, 3rd year, 4th year. CV passes in all these years. So the answer to the question is option 3, 2. I hope nobody spent time in calculating the precise 0.05% of this number and then finding out the entire work. You know how to calculate 1%, 0.5%, 0.05%. See, ideally what would happen is I would do all of this in my mind and not write it down. I am writing it down for the purpose of explaining, not that it requires writing it down. Last question of the set. For which bank the total number of candidates selected in all the 4 years taken together was the maximum? Again, a question that usually results in people calculating when it is not really required. Hopefully nobody made the mistake of calculating it for all banks and then working the answer. When you have 4 options, only focus on those 4 options. In fact, if you pay attention, the question is not even asking for how many people were selected. They're simply asking for comparison between the banks. So if I only have to compare between the banks, let's play a revolving door death match. Let's look at CB and PSB. Loses by roughly 400, wins by roughly 600, wins by roughly 400, wins by roughly 700. CB has won by such a huge margin that it has to be larger than PSB. So CB survives. Now there is a death match between CB and BB. Wins by 400, wins by 1200, wins by 700 and wins by 1100. CB wins against BB in all categories, so BB has to lose. Let's look at CB and PNB now. Loses by 17, wins by 1200, wins by 700, and wins by significant margin. So PNB is also losing. No, I think I made a mistake of PNB and BB, but okay, I made a mistake because I think the numbers of PNB seem to be familiar to me right now. As in I've utilized them. Let us go ahead. CB and PSB loses by 400, 600 victory, 400 victory, 700 victory. So PSB loses. Against PB, wins, 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 wins. So BB loses. Against PNB, loses by 17, wins by a huge margin, wins by 700, wins by this. Okay, I was right. CB is the bank that has selected the maximum number of candidates. How many candidates have they selected? I neither know nor do I care. I only know that it is the maximum and the purpose of the question is solved. That will be all for episode 3. Okay, bye people.